Hey everybody, welcome to this Mego Ambassador exclusive.
Right out of my comfort zone here with you, so I don't usually appear on camera.
Really?
So yeah, this is a special honor.
We're doing interviews with the people that make Mego matter. Today, we are interviewing Brian Heiler. You might know Brian from the Mego Museum. You might know Brian from Plaid Stallions or Brick Mantooth. You might know Brian from his book, Rack Toys. He is no stranger to toys, and he is definitely no stranger to Mego. The co-founder of the Mego Museum, Mr. Brian Heiler. He's a very interesting guy, to say the least. I asked Brian to tell us about himself, tell us about the museum, and give us a little backstory. This is what he had to say.
Myself, I kind of grew up with toys because my dad was a distributor. And he would buy closeouts, and he would buy closeouts from Mego because they were pricey toys. But he would also just regularly buy from like companies like AHI and Lincoln International when I was a kid. And I remember that, and I would often spend Saturdays helping him, and we were, a small family unit, and he was an entrepreneur. So you'd often, be picking toys for kids. Sometimes you got paid. Sometimes you got paid in toys. But that was my childhood. And I think it all started with his toy magazines. He subscribed to all the publications that toy retailers would subscribe to read up on the latest trends and that sort of thing. So I would spend like Saturdays reading the magazines. And I was, I'm born in the later part of 1970. So I'm like the penultimate Mego age, like the world's greatest superheroes are some of my first memories. Action Jackson, Planet of the Apes, Star Trek, all of that. I was right in the middle of that. Nice. So I would read these magazines, and I knew who Marty Abrams was. I would just read about Mego. So it was this weird bit of backstory that most kids didn't have growing up, And when I was about a teenager, I started getting to collecting and dealing this stuff, and my dad's friend came over one day, I think around 1984, and said, "Oh, you should go to Parkdale Novelty." Was the Canadian Mego distributor, and he said, "Oh, that guy's got lots of that stuff." And my dad said, "I'll take you to see him." And it was, I had to wait till March break, and my dad was on business, and he just drove to Parkdale Novelty, and they let us in, and they let me fill my trunk full of Megos.
Wow.
And yeah, $2 each. And then
wow.
They somehow in the back of a bookstore, I got a card of a man by the name of Joe Levy, and Joe knew where Parkdale was, and he was buying all the superheroes, all the apes, and he was selling them at like flea markets and stuff. And we created a friendship. His kids weren't into toys, and he was, so we kind of bonded over that, and it became this kind of mentorship. Wow. Where he picked me up, and he'd take me to yard sales, and he knew where all the closeouts were. Like, the stuff he knew what was there was just crazy, like Matt Mason stuff and variety stores, So he would, we'd go out and do this. And then, I think a later part of college, I kind of faded out. And then university, I sold my collection. And then I got back into it just out of university, or actually midstream. And then the internet happened. So I got online, and you didn't Google anything back then. You like Alta Vista'd it or whatever the search engine was. And I found this website that took like half an hour to download, which was called the Mego Museum. And that was started by my friend Robin Adams. And we also had a mailing list back then, which was, kind of the easiest way to communicate. And that's when you started to meet other Mego collectors, people that you felt normal, to be perfectly honest with you. You could do it at a huge toy show and meet like one other guy in the Mego, and you may not click with that person. They may be weird, or they give you a bad vibe. But on this, you all of a sudden started to make friends. And some of these people I met on that Mego list, I still talk to this very day. In fact, one of them is Lou from Mego Like.
Nice.
I've been talking to Lou forever. And so that's basically my backstory with, how I came to be. When I was a teenager, I was trying to write a Mego book. And right up until the internet happened, I was trying to write a Mego book. And then when that happened, I just gave everything I knew to Robin to put it on the Mego Museum. And that's the beauty of the Mego Museum, is it became this huge collaborative effort where people just, here's what I know. We tried to make sense of it all. So it was this beautiful online scrapbook or collaborative book. So that's and I was really excited about that. And I can honestly remember taking my Mego catalogs to the mall and getting them to get color photocopies of every page, and then express enveloping them to Robin so that she could scan them and put them on, in these little tiny thumbnails in the dial-up days. I remember doing that. That's a passion project.
Seems like the museum is just this huge place with all of these different wings and rooms and doors and fascinating things to explore and open. There's always something new to learn there.
The beauty of the museum is that it is not centric to one. I didn't write the museum. It was all done, like several wings of the museum are written by several people whose passions, like apes, Star Trek, Action Jackson. You've got people that just said, I want to donate my time and put this out there. And I've built on top of that. But I think the true joy of the museum was that it was just a complete collaboration, and still is to this day. It may look like I'm serving everybody stuff. I'm just the guy. I'm almost just the waiter sometimes.
Wow.
Like, to be perfectly honest with you, we do a newsletter every Friday. And we do an annual convention called Mego Meet, which you've attended. And I'm the greeter at Mego Meet. But the newsletter and Mego Meet wouldn't happen if it weren't for a guy by the name of Steve Moore, who's completely like the integrator of the Mego Museum, if that makes sense, where, the stuff gets done under Steve, but he doesn't want any of the credit. And when you look at it, like the two of us will probably spend 4 or 5 hours a week working on the newsletter and all the content for no reward. But it's just because we really like this hobby. This is our fun. We both have jobs. We both have very demanding jobs. But that's the joy of this, is it's our hobby. It's fun. Or, it's supposed to, I think your hobby's supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be the other way around. But it's all done for the love of this.
As we continue to talk and I continue to listen, I realized that Brian Heiler is truly an extraordinary person and fascinating to listen to. We talked a little about today's modern repros or remakes, he thought, what he expects from it.
Oh my God, look at this, or...
Oh, yeah, I guess it all depends on how you feel about that sort of thing. For me, it's the same way I feel about remaking a movie. It could be good. It could be bad. I'll just, doesn't take away from the original for me.
Right.
Nothing takes away. The original is there. It's happened. The new one could either be super successful, therefore raising the profile of the original, or it'll be forgotten tomorrow. And the original's still there. You know what I mean? There's just there's no problem. I'm not that attached to it. I can honestly remember sitting. First of all, Paul is one of the original Mego mailing list guys from the mid '90s, and I always joke with him. I remember sitting in my terrible apartment, logging on, and it read, "I am no longer Paul Clark. I am now Dr. Mego." And I remember just rolling my eyes, going, "Whatever." And now I'm wrong. That clearly stuck, and he clearly stuck to it. But I just at the time I remember just thinking, "Fuck, get over yourself," But that's the sort of thing that I like. Reproductions to me, if they're clearly marked, have no effect on me. I might even buy one. I like the format of Mego. I like the 3 3/4 inch. I like the 12 inch. I like the 8 inch. I am always going to be a vintage boy at heart. But many of the new offerings actually have tempted me, and I actually am enthusiastic about them. I tend to focus more on the figures I didn't have. Those are the ones that kind of excite me more than a reproduction of Mego Batman. That's nice. I'm glad.
Right.
Give it to your grandkids. I don't need one, but if you do an 8-inch Commandy, I'm all over that.
I'm all over that
that's
too.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Brian started talking about how he felt of New Mego and how they are doing.
Yeah, so that's where I go. I mean, if Mego gets the Apes license, let's say, I might sit out Wave 1. I probably won't sit out Wave 1. But Wave 2, if they add Mutants and Taylor and Nova, I'd be all into it.
When you first heard the news, what ran through your head? Mego's coming back.
You know, the thing was, it was sort of like this stunted, delayed thing, because I first heard rumor of it in Chicago. And, you know, it was very vague. And it wasn't from Paul. It was from someone else who just said to me, you know, they're pitching Star Wars, they're pitching Marvel, they're pitching, and I was just like, that one was like, oh, you know, that got my wheels turning. Paul was very tight-lipped up until, I think, Mego Meet. That was 2018. I wish every human being who collects or was interested in Mego could have had the introduction I had to it from Paul Clark, because he just brought me into, like, his room was near my room, and he said, come here for a minute. And he brought out a few samples, and he talked about it for 5 minutes with me. It was very, very quick. And I just remember going, like, you know, he showed me Tootie, the infamous Tootie, and he said, Target wants this. But here's what and, you know, he showed me what they were passionate about. He showed me the big Batman, and he said, the head's wrong on this, but we're going to fix it. You know, like, it was all this kind of, this calm, understandable, like, you know, getting that message across is so important. And the way he did it to me, I just walked into that room going, this is really cool. So when the first waves came out, I realized everyone's expectations are different. You know, people really were waiting a long time for this. And, you know, they were expecting, like, you know, it's going to be 1976 again. And it's like, wait, no. You know, first of all, the new Mego is not the old Mego, and they have to prove themselves. So, yeah, I'm not jumping up and down. Okay, my wife loves Facts of Life, so maybe I was jumping up and down about Facts of Life, but I'm not jumping up and down about Happy Days again. But, you know, it's low-hanging fruit. Fonzie's popular. Let's just give it a few minutes, you know, like, let's just, you know, I was looking at, I'm always a glass half full type, where I looked at it and went, oh, I really like that Bela Lugosi. I can't wait to see where they go with Star Trek. And I really like the 14-inch Heroes. So, you know, I just picked what I liked. And that was kind of the mantra. I started with that mint off card, which is like, buy what you like. Don't worry about everything else. It was, you know, I think the takeaway, I said to Robin after we had dinner with Marty, and he explained everything, and then the takeaway to Robin, I said that night, was like, we should just end the movie here. You know,
right.
And the next 2 months after that were a lot of, you know, the people very passionate and rushing for information, and, you know, Target not probably doing everything to expectation. You know, there was just a lot of things going on. You were there. And I have to say now, flash forward, I have been lucky enough to get some samples, advanced samples of Wave 7, which is just, I'm very grateful to Mego for. And it's like, oh, this is, if anything, a sign this company not only listens but learns. Like, they've heard your feedback, and I think people expect your feedback to be like fixed the next day, but in manufacturing, it's 9-10 months later that you're going to see your voice heard, or you're going to see what your input has wrought. And I've been playing with Wave 7 all week, as you may have known, and I don't think there's a loser in the bunch. I like every figure. I'm not even a big Lord of the Rings fan, and I think that I got a copy of Legolas. That's a really cool looking action figure.
They're going. I mean, they're going straight with Robin Hood and the Knights, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. So I mean, like even characters, like I did the Headless Horseman review this week. I could not like that in love with the idea of the character, the concept, but when I got that thing off the card, it's like there's a lot of care put into this. It's a fun action figure. It's a cool concept. Mego is having fun. I like the idea of the removable head on the character. You got a little sash you can put over the knob to make it.
Which is cool. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, no, it's It's got a cool outfit, and I'm just sitting there thinking like, this would be a cool Jekyll and Hyde concept. Like, they're having a bit of fun with this.
Oh, yes, it would.
And to each their own, but I'd rather have these kind of fun concepts where there's a little bit of thought and care put into them than a Funko Pop. I don't understand the Funko Pop. But I do really, really like what they've done, and it's not shilling. Because if I don't talk about it, it's like I'm a guy who says if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. And I sincerely like this stuff.
Awesome.
I was shaking when I got that Wrath of Khan set because I was so like I love Wrath of Khan. I love Star Trek, and these were the figures I wanted as a kid. So I honestly think that, 1 year into it, look at what's changed, and it's pretty amazing. I really like where they're going with it. And I'm kind of curious to where they're going next. I like this. I like this a lot.
Brian's thoughts on Impractical Jokers.
If Mego decides to, let's just say, I don't like Impractical Jokers. I don't like it at all. The show, it's not for me.
Right.
But when I saw Mego making those toys, I went, well, that's an interesting audience. They seem to have a big following. And I do have friends who think they're amazing, and they want the dolls. And I also thought, well, okay, that's something I don't have to buy. So I've never said anything good or bad about them publicly. I guess I just did now. But I as a business matter, I thought, well, that's an interesting idea to, this is something that's super popular, and will their audience buy Mego figures, and will they then become Mego fans? I don't know. I'd probably take the shot if I was in charge. It's actually kind of smart because those guys promote it. I would sign that deal too, but as a Mego collector, it's like I don't need those guys. That's fine, But I look at it that way. I don't look at it as like it's not Spider-Man. Well, okay,
right.
It's not. You're right.
No, yeah.
Someday we might get to Spider-Man again. Someday we might get to Darth Vader, but it's not going to be today. So let's look at Glow in the Dark Dracula and how fun he is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point. If you had to, pick a favorite right now, if you had to pick, I'll make it hard for you. You have to pick one 8-inch favorite.
Oof. Like from the modern Mego wave, this last.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah, I'm going to have to go. That's actually tough because I think I say every wave has a favorite for me. But I'd have to say right now it would be that middle-aged Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
And not just because my friend sculpted the head. Just because it's like, I absolutely wanted this action figure as a kid. And I think the follow-up figure would probably be the Khan or the middle-aged Spock. Those are really cool.
They are. They actually.
I gotta be honest with you though. Like made figures in China, and it's, you send your money and you send your best intentions to China, and they like I can honestly remember a skid lot of action figures showing up, and I was nearly throwing up because like it is. Your heart's in that stuff, and not only that, but like your kid's college fund is in that stuff. And so I have incredible empathy for anyone who tries to make an action figure, and anyone who thinks that, oh, this company's being greedy or this, shut up. It isn't like that.
And other new Mego decisions.
This is not the easy way to make money. Look at what this company did. They took a Batman. The first 12-inch Batman was not great, and they gave thousands of free heads away to make your Batman better.
Actually, if it was a 12-inch, it would have been fantastic. But
sorry, the 14-inch. Yeah, it looked giraffe-necked. But where do you go from a company going, well, okay, we admit we did, this was not great. If you write us, you will get a free head. What are you supposed to say to a company that does that other than thanks?
Absolutely.
The first version of the Joker didn't have a coat. It didn't bother me because sometimes the Joker has a coat, sometimes the Joker doesn't have a coat. It's not that big a deal. They offered I think it was like a $6 code or a $7 code. Like, that's nice.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely.
Brian's been going strong for 20 years with the museum, the newsletters, all of the above. I asked him, why do you still do it?
You have to ask that question of Robin, Steve, why we're still doing it. And it's like a shared madness. We have a lot of fun doing it. There are more than enough like-minded people in this that kind of make it more fun. I have lots of friends in real life, but I don't have I have only like 3 or 4 Mego friends who get it. You know what I mean? And we don't get together that much. So to be able to get together with these folks every week, every day on, either Mego Mania or through the Mego forums, and to put together this little newsletter every week, like we're gaining momentum as a following and a fandom. It's kind of fun and rewarding because, Mego Meet is one of those things that every year that when I leave that thing, my energy is drained to an absolute minimum. And you can ask the guys I drive home with that I'm kind of like I don't talk a lot. I'm kind of burned out. But in the same regard, my batteries are recharged on the other end of like my faith in humanity, because hobbies are a rewarding thing. This is Mego Meet is our annual lodge meeting. You know what I mean? And that's the wonderful part of the internet is there are people that I speak to almost every day that I seriously enjoy that I do not get to break bread with very much. And that's why we do it. I mean, it's above the toys. I mean, I still collect toys. I still buy toys all the time. But that's a very lonely passion unless you're sharing what you're doing, or you're sharing your knowledge, or you're helping someone out, or you're making a friend. And, somebody wiser than me, a few years older than me, told me once, I came to collect toys and then I ended up collecting friends. And I've always really liked what the fellow by the name of Daniel who said that, and that really resonated with me. And I think that's why we're still doing it. It certainly isn't about the money.
Right.
there is none to speak of. And once in a while we get ourselves a free treat like this Wave 7, and that really is wonderful. But yeah, it is not a financially, my wife jokes all the time of like, I got to go downstairs and make a video. And she goes, how much you get paid to do that? I'm like, nothing, nothing on top of nothing, but it's fun to do it, and it's fun to express yourselves creatively, and this is our madness. This is what we do, and without us, I don't know, life would be less special, I guess, without this. So sometimes it drives me crazy, but other times I realize that maybe it keeps me sane. That makes sense.
I wanted to thank Brian for doing this interview, for stepping out of his comfort zone and offering up his insight of New Mego, the museum, things that have been going on, things that I wanted to know about, and I'm sure things that you guys also want to know about. Until next time, God bless you.